Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode. Today I'm bringing you the Nikkormat EL. This was Nikon's first automatic camera, featuring aperture priority for a change rather than shutter priority. We've been looking at a lot of those recently. And this was introduced in 1972 and ran through until 1975, 76. There was a follow-on version, the EL2. The only difference being really that was an AI coupled camera, as this is a pre-AI camera. As you can see, it has the rabbit ears on the lens and the coupling, a bit like the Nikon F and the F2. And yeah, it was followed on by the Nikon FE in 77. You had the FE and the FM came out in 77. So yeah, interesting camera. Aperture priority rather than shutter priority. Shutter speeds ranging from 4 seconds through to 1,000th of a second. If there's no battery in it or the battery is dead, it will default to one mechanical speed of 1/90th of a second. If you remember, in quite a few films I said that people were very wary of batteries in cameras because they sort of realised that, you know, dead battery, dead camera, whereas a mechanical camera will just keep on going and going and going. So let's give you an overview. On this side, oh, I've got to take my glasses off. On this side we have the usual Nikon lock button for the lens. This camera also features mirror up, so if you flick this little lever up here, that lever there, that will lock the mirror up. I can just drop it down so you can see there's the mirror down, there's the mirror up. The reason for the mirror up, and a lot of people think it's to do with camera shake, etc. That's part of it. The other reason is that certain lenses, they go back into the camera body. They're very specialised lenses, things like fisheyes, etc. And they protrude so far back in that you can't have a mirror in the way. They normally come with a finder, a bit like a range finder, an extra finder that goes on the top that shows you the field of view. So that's our mirror lock-up button. As you can see, it has the rabbit ears coupling for the meter, but you don't need to tell the camera, unlike the Nikon F, you don't need to tell the camera what the maximum aperture is. But you do, when you mount a lens, you have to do the shuffle from one end to the other, and that will tell the camera everything it needs to know about the lens and its maximum aperture. Here we have a stop down lever, so you can see the shutter stopping down, the aperture stopping down, sorry. Self timer, usual thing, just turn the lever, wind on, push the self timer. There's the 90th of a second, because this camera doesn't have a battery in it at the moment. Obviously it's got lugs for carrying straps on the back, nothing special, just a normal back. On the bottom we have a rewind button and a tripod mount right in the middle of the lens, perfect. We have a battery checker up here. This particular one doesn't work, that should light up, but it doesn't. The LED I think is died. On the side we have one flash sync port, and that covers both FP and X. Flash sync, like I said, is 125th of a second. On the top plate we have the film advance lever. When you pull it out there's a red dot, and the red dot signifies that the metering has been turned on, so that turns the metering on. Obviously film advance, quite a nice reasonable throw on it. Threaded shutter release up here. Cables and cable releases with Nikon are a bit funny. Some of them screw on the outside. I think this one actually takes a normal cable release that screws into the middle. Shutter speed dial, you can see 4 seconds plus a B, and it goes all the way around to 1,000. And then we have the green A setting, and this is where you can choose between bulb and flash for your synchronization for flash. Like I say, in the 70s nobody was really using bulbs at all, it was all electronic flash. hot shoe on the top eyepiece, and this obviously has dioptric lenses that you can put in if you wear glasses and you want to change that. On this side we have the rewind crank, pretty standard layout, but if you want to lift it up there's a little catch here that you've got to do. It's got a safety lock on it. You can see that on the side. Pull it up to spring open the back. This is also where you set the ISO. On here again there's a lock on it, and it ranges from 1600 down to 2500, and again you just push in this little tab and you can just swivel it around to the ISO that you're going to put in. And today I want to set it to 100. There we go, it's locked. Look inside, pretty standard. There's our pressure plate, take up spool, sprocket drive, film plane, and this is where the film's going to go. And you can see there the vertically bladed shutter. If I fire it, this is at 90th. You can see that it travels vertically, and the vertical shutters always give you the higher sync speed. Right, let's put a battery in this, but we haven't seen a battery door anywhere. There's no battery door on the bottom, on the back, like the Fuji. So where do you think the battery goes? Some of you may know. We have to take the lens off. Rather precarious place to put the battery, but if you put the mirror lock up there, you can see the other side of the shutter. The camera can focus on that. There you go. Rather beautiful looking pieces of engineering. And on the bottom here there's a little cover, and if you flip it over it pops up. And I don't know whether you can actually see in there. Let me get the torch. Brighten things up in there a little bit. So there you can see, if the flap lift up, there is where the battery goes. So it takes one of these, just like the Fuji, 4 SR44s, 6.2 volts, 4 SR44s, readily available batteries, and the positive goes to the right hand side. So you just pop your battery in, like so. There's the battery sitting in the throat of the lens. In the mirror box, you just pop that little flap back down again, and then you can put the mirror back down. Like I said, the battery checker on this doesn't work. I think the LED's gone. So to mount your lens, you set it at 5.6. So it lines up the rabbit ears with the coupling. There's the coupling, there's the rabbit ears coming on. Joins on, and then when you put a lens on you always have to do that. Just move it backwards and forwards. Okay, now to check that that battery's got life, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the shutter speed to 4 seconds. There we go. So we know that the battery's okay. As I said, this bit on the back does not work. So I'm a big fan of aperture priority. I think if it's there on a camera, I'm not going to use manual metering. There's no exposure compensation. That's the only time that you really would use it. Exposure compensation came in later. There was no exposure compensation on this, and you'd have to do that by playing around with your ISO settings. I think that would be the way to do it. Right, let's put some film in it. So if you remember, we've got to push the catch, pull up the back. Don't know if this one will sit on its nose. Yes, it will. You've seen this procedure before. We can just drop our cartridge in, drop this down. You know me, I like to see that part move. It shows me that the film's advancing through the camera. So we have multi-take up spool on this side, so all you have to do, there's no quick load system on these. They weren't really invented. I think Canon were the first with a quick load system. So we just load the film and we put it into the slot. See, it goes around clockwise. So you load the film in. Make sure it's lined up nicely with the sprockets. There we go. So now we can close the back. That can go down. 1, 2, 3, and there we are, we're ready to shoot. So, thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed. I say, Nikkormat EL, nice cameras, aperture priority, which is probably more useful than shutter priority, and being all professional, I've got my checklist again. It's all metal, made in Japan, quite heavy, just under 800 grams, so it's quite a heavy camera. Like I say, it was Nikon's first automated camera. The aperture control unit on the F2 came out the following year in '73. Doesn't use mercury batteries, uses the normal batteries. Vertical shutter, metal bladed. Been through that, pre-AI. You'll see brands that say Nikkormat, and that isn't a mistake. Nikkormat was the brand that they sold in Japan. I think the Japanese do struggle with their R's. So Nikkormat is a proper Nikon camera, but it's a domestic market camera. It would have been an import from Japan. You'll see it with, I haven't seen it with the ELs, but I have seen it with the FTNs, the Nikkormat FTNs. So there you have it, folks. Pre-AI, aperture priority, automatic. This one's in black. They were available in the black and chrome finish as well. Very nice cameras. Remember to turn the meter off, otherwise you'll flatten the battery. A little bit on the heavy side, but that's a good thing. Quality camera, reasonably affordable if you can find them. There's not that many of them come up for sale, and yeah, very nice. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.